What up, guys? Kevin here with a review of a game I haven't beat yet. That is something I never do, and I hate when others do it, but my score ain't going anywhere. Trails through Daybreak. I love this game, guys. I really do. It's Trails. I love all Trails games. The worst Trails game for me is like an 8 out of 10. It's still good. So where does Trails Through Daybreak land? Now, I am reviewing it before I beat it. I'm in the middle of Chapter 5. I think it's Chapter 5 and then the finale. But I'm like, all right, if the rest of the game sucks, like Chapter 4, the Institute, god awful. Like one of the worst like Trails chapters ever. Hated it. But the intermission got it back. If it's like that, okay, maybe you lose half a point or 5 points because I do it on a 100-point scale. But yeah, I love this game. I really do. And I'm going to say it took a while. This Trails game felt so different. I never played a Trails game that just felt so different than any other Trails game. I guess maybe the first time I played Trails in Cold Steel, that was the very first one I played. I didn't know anything about the world or what was going on. And I had that same feeling here just because for the first time, I'm moving forward. I started with Trails of Cold Steel 1 and then moved backward. And I moved forward, but in the Cold Steel saga. This is a whole new saga or arc with Daybreak, the Calvert arc. And it feels so foreign in this foreign land. So you play as Van. He is solo. Starts off solo. He's a Spriggan. What's a Spriggan? He does work for anybody. So good or bad. And that's kind of the selling point of this game so far. And I assume maybe Trails Through Daybreak too. You're going to take on a lot of seedy work. A lot of work that the cops or the bracers won't do. And I'm just going to come out and say, not so much. Quite a few times you're doing jobs that the bracers are too busy doing, or you're doing jobs that are just normal stuff that bracers or cops would do, but they just don't want to go to them. So it never really felt like I was doing very seedy activities. I'm sure there was one or two, but really it just feels like an average bracer request. Now, the way you go about it, the same as any bracer request, but they do give you options of like, hey, do you want to turn this person into the police? Or do you want to just say, hey, just knock it off and we'll let you go? There is like this option and you get, you can use your meter either goes towards law, towards chaos. You see right here, gray. I'm even across all three, and 3. And it just kind of gamifies the whole job request that's been there forever in Trails games. It makes it a little bit more fun, spruces it up a little bit, but just go in knowing that like you're not doing any crazy requests. You're not going, oh my God, we would never do this in a Trails of Cold Steel or Trails in the Sky. There was one where there's a poker one and you had to cheat. That one was probably fun and probably the most off the top of my head where I'm like, all right, this is a work for a Spriggan. But yeah, this game, why do I love this game so much? It reminds me of Trails from Zero. And I love that game. I don't know where it ranks among my favorite Trails games, but it's easily top 5, maybe top 3. This game, it just feels so small and so just insignificant. And I love that about it. Now, of course, there's crazy crap going on, and you meet Agnes, who is your first co-worker that you hire. She is the granddaughter of Epstein, and she's looking for his Genesis, little tablet things. She needs to collect them all, and it's seeming like that's going to be the jumping point of like, okay, the big, like the whole world is going to end up dying and be serious, super serial when that happens. And you're getting a little bit of taste of that throughout the game, but it feels so just intimate. And I love it about it. It feels nice just to be in Calvard and just experience Calvard and its people and everything going on and just not feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders, even though it kind of is still. But I love it for that, especially after Trails of Cold Steel 4 and Trails into Reverie. This feels like a breath of fresh air. Just like, all I need to do is just, go catch a shady poker player. But yeah, I mean, there's crazy stuff going. It's the same thing. You just go to different cities and towns in Calvard. What really sucks about this game, there's some things that take a step back. And I think it's because it's a new engine. And I think they just wanted to, all right, let's tell a very good Trails story with good Trails characters and quests. And that's it. There's no activities like fishing or anything like that or anything crazy like in Trails into Reverie. So it's a huge step back there. If you love the craziness and all the stuff he did in Trails into Reverie, no, this is a very basic, straightforward Trails game. There's really nothing off the beaten path. Besides, you go to a casino and you can't do any casino games. You go to a strip club, but there's no show. There's nothing to interact with. There's a stripper that sits at the end of the bar and you can talk to her for a couple lines of dialogue, but that's it. And I think Trails fans it was very obvious to me, but I didn't mind it. I really didn't mind it. It just felt very relaxing. This is the most relaxing Trails game. But yeah, starting out, Van. Let's talk about Van as a character. He is the coolest. He's probably my favorite. He is my favorite. He's older. He's 24, but man, do they treat him like an old ass in this game. Everything about him is set in stone. There's no, Reen or Lloyd or hell, even Estelle, growing pains and figuring shit out. He already has everything figured out. And he's really the manager because each chapter you hire basically a new coworker to work under him. And as you do, you realize how wise he is. People may not like Van for that. No, I want some growing pains. I want to see him go through it, but he's as cool as the other side of the pillow. And he loves sweets. Every time you beat a mission, he's talking about food. You're going to the movies, you're taking a bath. He is a man of culture. He loves to take it all in. He's such a mature adult that making him a Spriggan seems kind of goofy. You kind of forget, he's a Spriggan. He knows all this shady work. No, the most shadiness thing about Van is he lies a lot. He lies to get bits and pieces of information or shoo away reporters that are annoying him. But Van he's kind of a dullard. He's kind of boring, but I love him for that. It just feels nice. It feels nice to here's someone that I can relate to because I'm old, especially in JRPG world. I'd be dead. I'm 37. But let's talk about the other cast of characters. Not so strong besides one person. The beginning of this game, you get two little girls. You get Agnes, who I think is 16, 17, 18. She's in high school. And I'm just going to say, I hate Agnes. I don't hate her, but she's just, everything that comes out of her mouth is just too perfect. And her story is, okay, yeah, you're the daughter of Epstein or the granddaughter of Epstein. Cool. We'll figure that out. But she doesn't really give me anything else to either root for or against. And I hate that. She kind of really takes over. Working for Van and just being kind of a smartass. Not a smartass, but just always saying the right thing and just being perfect. I hate her. I hate her so much. Maybe. But she is a healer, so you definitely want her in the party. And then Fairy, she has a very interesting backstory that you learn early on. She's a Jaeger, or she basically gets kicked out and needs to work for Van to prove herself. But at the start, like the first chapter or two, or prologue or whatever, it's you and a couple little kids, and it's not a really good dynamic. I didn't really like this dynamic with Van and two little girls. And again, he's super mature. It's not like he's hitting on them or anything like that. There's no Agnes falling boobs first on Van's face. None of that. And if it happened, Van would just be so cool about it that it wouldn't be awkward. But then there's a little redhead that comes along named Aaron, and he's my favorite. There's just something about redheads and Neon Falcon. They just can't screw it up. Every redhead that Neon Falcon makes is spectacular. And Aaron is just a douchey 19-year-old kid. And him and Van just go back and forth pretty much ever since he joins the party. Chapter 2, I think. And it's great. He keeps calling him old. Van keeps calling him a kid. And they just really go at it and do a lot of shit talking. If you love shit talking, these two they make the game for me. They make the game. They're just so much fun to watch. But yeah, and then you get more and more characters as the game goes on, or for each chapter you gain a character. Very bougie. This game could be called Trails of Bougie because you're going to the movies, you're meeting movie characters or actors. One even joins your party. Very important people, at least in Calvard. It's a fine wine. Trails Through Daybreak is a fine wine of the Trails series. But yeah, let's talk about, you're looking at Zin, the immovable right here. Like this game this is my Marvel movies. Anytime a character like Ren, Fee, Zin come on, like I am getting hard. I'm getting massively hard. I'm becoming immovable with how hard I am. And they do it so well in this game. They just pull characters from like out of nowhere. I'm like, that person, but it makes sense why they're in Calvard. There's even a certain someone special from Calvard that shows up during the intermission. I'm like, whoa, whoa, of course we run into that person. But yeah, Rixia, I don't know how to say her name, but man, of course she would be. She has Calvard ties. Why wouldn't she be in this game? And she is. And my God, like the reverence that they have for these older characters, just like, hey, these characters have been around the block and they've grown. Like they are badass. Fee is a badass. Zin's a badass. Rixia is a badass who steps in and just solves shit. It's like, oh, yeah, we needed you in for this moment. And it makes sense because we've been on journeys with them. Of course, they've grown to become super powerful badasses. And I love that in this game, they reward them. They reward us for hanging out with these people for hundreds of hours. But yeah, that is Trails Through Daybreak. I'm loving the game. I still got another chapter 5 to finish and the finale. I expect a very, very long finale dungeon. Wouldn't be Trails without it. But yeah, I think I'm going to give it a 9 top 5. That would be a separate video if I rank my favorite Trails games, but easily in my top 5. To me, it just reminds me of Trails from Zero, and I love that game. Just small, intimate, just fun. Just fun. Weight of the world is not on our shoulders yet, but it's definitely getting there. But yeah, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. The rest of the game sucks. 8.5. The rest of the game is super duper awesome. Maybe you can go to a 9.5. I'll put it in the comment section. But I feel pretty good at giving this game a 9 out of 10. Great game. Trails Through Daybreak. Should you start with Trails Through Daybreak? Absolutely not. Because, man, the amount of how much fun I'm having visiting these old characters when they show up you got to start with Sky the First. Or do what I did. Start with Cold Steel 1. But all right, that's it. I got to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Later.